Oh, where is everybody? Yikes. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be starting this, but it didn't look like anybody else did. So here we are. Hello. Hi, Margaret. I didn't, I seem to have started this. I was just trying to have you let me in, but it wasn't started already. So when I hit the button, I ended up starting it. Sorry about that. But
No,
I
no,
will,
we're good. I was
okay.
trying to figure it
letting
out.
everybody
How's
in.
everybody doing? I say we hold on a few and
Yeah,
give
people are coming in.
everybody a minute to get here. Claire.
The other meeting's about 60% converted, so for whatever that's worth. It doesn't seem to be interfering with anything, so that's good. Do you want me to turn the recording off until everybody shows up?
Sure.
Okay.
I thought Saoirse was made host.
I thought she was too, but she can't get back in. And she said that she thinks Anand is still that they were co-hosting. So she's in the waiting room on her phone trying to get back in because her computer's frozen. I'm really sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
And it looks like Dan is too.
Can't get my video to work for some reason. Yeah, it keeps dropping them.
Dan, can you see?
I can see just fine. I guess you can probably hear me, but it keeps dropping my video, so I'll just hang on without it then.
All right. Anand, can you see Saoirse?
She's back.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Doriandra. Please continue.
Oh, it's okay. Everybody's back in?
Yes, ma'am. We
Okay.
want to know what you have to say.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I was just rambling about the kids. I'm really excited about the kids. Out of that 28 families served, we've got 24 kids among those 28 families, which is just amazing. Some of those kidlets were in cars with their families, and so that's really fabulous. Looking at some financial totals, the beginning of ORAP grant funds were $235,000. The total spent thus far on the 28 families is $66,402. So this is a tight turnaround for us. We've really need to figure out how to spend $168,000, almost $600 before June 23. And this is an interesting thing because getting checks cut has been profoundly challenging. And my goals in the beginning were to try to do this twice a month because of all the moving goalposts with landlords and court evictions and whatnot. It would have been really important if we had checks cut on the 1st and then the 15th or the 15th, something like that, like twice a month. And I think that we would have been able to really spend more because of the funnel there. We could keep more going. So for whatever reason, we've only been able to get checks cut once a month. So if we can accelerate that and get to a more functioning twice a month, that's really my recommendation. Margaret and I did some quick numbers, and I think that we could probably, if we accelerated it based on averages in batches, we might move to almost 70,000 more spent down for community members by the end of June. Two things to note about this. One is that I have asked the state of Oregon for an extension on this grant. It's not likely given what I've heard, but it worked when I asked the CDC for that extension when we ran into issues with the street murals. So we're all going to think good thoughts and maybe we'll get a little extension. If not, I can actually kind of toggle and see if there's other community-based organizations in Oregon that are out of funds that we could take their referrals. And if that's the case, then we'll just need a vote from the board to expand our footprint of aid. And, you know, we started with just wanting to help folks in the Whitaker, and we realized that there was a larger need and we moved beyond. And so now it may include other counties if that's where we choose to go, because I know, as we all learned for Ian, and it's a real grant fact as far as we know, they really want you to spend this down because they want you to be able to spend later. And so whether we are refunded again is kind of up to how much we can do with this money. Secondly, back in October, we received this. This is a kind of interesting capture. I was explaining to someone, Ian wrote this brilliant grant, I guess at the beginning of 2021, and the state, we were really excited to see if it would work, but the state didn't approve. They did come back around though in October and offer us this money. And although it had nothing to do with our housing project at the time, these funds are coming out of tobacco diversion, they agreed to let us braid it with the existing housing as healthcare program. So this was to keep all the money back over here for housing folks. And then this would be to pay the basic salaries. So for the last 4 months, I believe this is correct. I'm not entirely sure about Drea, but I believe this is kind of how it has rolled itself out. And so
are you telling me that Drea's getting paid $100 an hour?
I believe so. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So, but again, I can't quote that because
It's all right. I was just something like that.
Yeah, and again, I never have access to the books. I never know really anything about financials. I'm just working in a void here. So this is what I believe we have.
We all are. We
Yeah.
all are.
Okay. But I believe that we have accurately spent this amount of money on salaries. And again, it's important that from bookkeeping, Dennis, or Den, especially for you at this point, these salaries have been coming out of this grant, which is entirely grant compliant. And that is only because we only received this. And again, I can't confirm it. I'm hoping it's finally landed. It sounds like it has in the accounts. Yeah. We finally landed this $25,000. So whatever next steps go forward between the treasurer and the bookkeeper, or however this works, this money should go back. Or I'm sorry, this money should be where we're paying the salary. So
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thanks. So that's where we're at, and I hope that makes some sense, and I'm happy to answer any questions if I can help more.
So I just, you know, since we're almost all here, I just want to make sure that you guys know that I made some, I didn't make any decisions. I just went back to what we did before again, and it wasn't just the emails and the meetings. When Doriandra was working and Ian was the chair, Doriandra was in charge of what she did. She was the contact for OHA. She was the contact for, I mean, I was part of her hiring committee, and when we hired her, this lady could walk on water, and the references that she came with and everything that they told us was true. And she brought with her a whole lot, and she added to our organization considerably. And a lot of those relationships that she had and contacts were severed. And so, and they were never voted on. We never talked about them. We had voted on it previously under a different chair, and so I just went back to what the board had already voted on. And what we had already agreed on, and I hope, is that all right with everyone? Does anyone have any issue with that? So she's running her own deal. Just so that we know, and she's gonna keep us updated and tell us what's happening. But, you know, there's nobody that can punt like Doriandra. And I have full faith in her. So thank you guys for your support in that. And like I said, I didn't really make any decision. I just went back to the decisions that we had made previously. Okay, fantastic. Thea, you're up.
Well, thank you, Doriandra, because you have done an amazing job. I would like to make a motion, if Doriandra is willing to accept this, that we figure out how to give her more hours. Because if you look at the hours slide, she's putting in a lot of volunteer hours. It takes a lot of time to contact a property management company to fill out these things. So I don't know what your volunteer hours are, but if we could get her more hours so that we could spend down this money. And then is it my understanding correctly that you and Margaret have worked it out that Margaret will get you checks from the bank so that you can do a twice a month? Saoirse had the question of how can we get you checks twice a month instead of once a month? It has been a huge issue for her, but Margaret said she could get bank counter checks. So has that issue been solved?
Well, it's been solved one time. We need to talk about it as a board, as
Okay.
part of what I promised that we would discuss things. And I need to talk to Gail to find out how we talk to our lawyer about the way that things were restructured as far as our financial situation. I already talked to the banker, and unfortunately I got sick and couldn't go into the bank. But now the only person that can cut a check is Drea. That's it. And I understand the whole third party thing, but when I talked to the banker suggests that is an important thing. However, that's for a multi-million-dollar nonprofit, and you guys are not that. And he said that he couldn't really give me legal advice. However, he has other places that are the same size that we are that do work like we do. And they have a treasurer who cuts the check, and then they have someone like myself or Saoirse who signs it. The treasurer cannot sign a check, but he can cut them and make them and keep track of the money. So I just want to confirm with the lawyer, because Delinia told me that in order to be compliant with our 401(c), that we have to have a bookkeeper, basically. But we
That's
didn't for
complete
years.
bullshit. This is complete bullshit.
I know, I know,
Yeah.
but just understand I have to do my due diligence, and then when it's over, we're going to talk about just going back to what it was before.
Yes.
So,
But until then, I will get counter checks and we'll vote about it.
Okay,
So
well,
I
have
would
a
like-
question.
I would like to ask Doriandra if she needs more hours, and if so, then I want to put a motion on the table.
Well,
I have a
where's the
question
money
for-
coming from?
That's what my question's about. Can I make a suggestion? We have two pots of grant money right now we were just chatting about, and one of them is a $25,000 grant that just came down. It was basically thrown at our feet. Asked if we could use it, and yes, we can use it for admin and for overheads. That is true, but we also have the OHA grant. We have something like, what is it, 163,000 that we need to spend down before June 30th. So my recommendation is that if it's allowable to use a portion of that money for admin, we go ahead and use that for admin and spend it down on salaries, and then keep the 25K, which is freshly in, and it has a much longer expiry date if it has one at all. So let's use the money that's going to expire soon, which is 163K with the OHA grant, if it's allowable to use that for overheads.
And you know that grant, Doriandra, so
It is absolutely allowable to use for staff, correct?
I think we should, and save the 25K, since we have to spend down 163. Okay, let's
Do
see.
you need more hours?
I could definitely use more hours to process more applicants and to move quicker in our process. But again, the more hours won't be helpful unless we can get to 2 batches of checks being cut.
We'll get you 2 batches of checks,
Okay.
one way or another.
Then I
just
would like
need
to make a motion that we get her more hours.
How many more hours? I mean, now it's do we have a
Do-
second?
I'll second that.
Okay, great. So now we have a little discussion. Are you looking, what are you doing now, Doriandra? 20?
I'm doing 20, which
So
is,
40 would double your workload.
yep. Well, I'm kind of at 25 to 30 because as Thea mentioned, the landlord calls just go on and on and on and back and forth. So
Right, but if we
Um,
just upped your hours to 40, then you would work 50.
right.
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
No. Yes.
Do we have any discussion about that, or do we just want to put it up to the vote?
I'd like to ask where the money is going to come from, actually. We're gonna take it out of the 25K, or we're gonna take it out of 163K.
I'd like to say that I think Den's friendly amendment of taking it from the bigger pot that is more timely makes a lot of sense. So I'd like to second the friendly amendment.
I agree with you, Gail.
Yeah, me too.
I also am wondering, like, before we follow through with the motion, to clarify, or the motion is there to follow through with like voting, to clarify, I'm like in full support of increasing hours. Like, would we want to know from you, Doriandra, like, how much more do you actually want to work? What do you like think the capacity is? And then like, are there limitations on the amount of admin hours that we're able to use with this grant money? I think that before we put things in stone, we should know those things, right? Because seems important.
Sure.
Yeah, are we able to pay you 40 hours a week out of that grant, Doriandra?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I've done the expenditure reports for Q8 and Q9, and it has been fully authorized to do salaries, any kind of budgeting for social media, printing. These expenditure reports for this subset of the larger CPO grant include all of those things. So when we think back to the spending that we were doing for the clinics, we had Instaprint, we had my salary, we had Emma's, we had Sarah Grace. So yeah, it's all part of that same umbrella of grants. So it is completely permissible.
Great. So if this passes, Dan, can you put together an email because Drea is on contract through July, and let her know that we passed that and she needs to put that in our books?
Sure.
I would have you'll see my job is just to delegate. Delegate.
All right, got it.
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to observe that I believe Doriandra is already gifting us at least as many hours as we are discussing compensating her for. So really what we're doing is acknowledging her extra volunteer work and recognizing that we have both an opportunity and I would argue a responsibility to appropriately compensate her for her good work. And so if we pay her for 40 hours, we will be coming close to covering the time that she's actually spending on our behalf. And I bet that she will take that extra 40 hours and make that into an amazing increase in serving our needy neighbors and making sure that people get the resources we have available for them. Anyway, that's my point.
I agree 100%. Is there any more comments? All those in favor? It looks like it passes. I don't unanimously. Do you need to get Claire Brad, are you there?
Marcus,
Or
Brad-
are you
Marcus,
there?
I'm sorry.
Brad is not on the board.
I know, I'm sorry. I know it's Marcus. Marcus, are you there? Or is your phone just chimed in?
No, I'm here. I was having a hard time getting my anything to work.
Okay, what do you have a vote for that?
I
I'm sorry?
You muted yourself, Marcus.
hey, there we go. Sorry again. I'm having issues on my end. We can blame it on the country.
And so, would you care to vote, yes or no, or abstain?
No, I'll vote it yes. I don't like abstaining. That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, it looks like that's unanimous for everyone that's here.
Awesome. I have something I want to add while we're on this topic. Just like with grant funds, I think that one thing we really need to step up with as an organization is telling our story about the work that we're doing. It's really cool, Doriandra, that you are doing all of this and that it's supported by, us. But if we're not able to communicate that story effectively to people, it's not that it doesn't matter, but people have no idea. So I think that we really, like, if there is flexible funding here, we need a social media person. There we go, Thea. Like, we need that, and it needs to be paid. People have talked about that being a volunteer position, but social media is an intense amount of work. It doesn't look like it, but it's a lot of work. So that if we need to spend that money down, we need social media.
Okay. Doriandra, are you good? We're running short on time. We have 10 minutes, and we do have a quick update from Thea that she's going to take 15 minutes and knock it down into 10. Den, did you have a question?
I just wanted to make the comment, I'm sitting here doing the math in my head and I'm realizing that the thing that Doriandra's talking about, the 163K that we have to spend down by June 30th, I mean, that's literally on our doorstep, and our next board meeting is in May. And then that money's going away a month later. And so if we want to do some good with that money, we're going to have to think about that hard, like really fast. Come up with some ideas about what to do. Doriandra obviously has thought about it already. Go for it.
Yeah, Dan, this has been like the most frustrating part since we started November is that we knew endemically that we needed 2 batches of checks cut every month. And so if we can accelerate that at where we can accelerate it now, and we can get these first recipients, recipients handled for this half of April, then that leaves us, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more rounds of recipients. And those are averaging out about 14 to 20,000 per batch. So we should accelerate this as quickly as we can, gather more applicants. If we had social media, it would be amazing. I'm up to my eyeballs with phone calls and intake forms. So if somebody else can like push the platform forward, you all can use that crappy graphic I made, whatever we're gonna do. But yeah, we really need to be an embrace to push forward because the need is astonishing and the stories that are coming in are tragic. And
Can I
so
ask you, what's been your difficulty getting checks?
The former chair.
Is obstructing?
No, not anymore. So, so if
Okay.
we're moving forward.
Yes,
We're gonna
please.
make it happen. I just need to check on a couple of things that I will be responsible for that will have my name on. And I was told some things, so I just need to verify once I have a moment to chat with Gail, maybe tomorrow if she has time, and she can help give me the information I need in order to ask the questions I need to ask to make sure that we can just go back to having Den so that he can cut the checks, and then Saoirse or myself will sign them.
Well, I don't really understand why that was changed, because every small nonprofit, as you, Margaret, mentioned, you were talking to someone who inform you that yes, the $1 million nonprofits do it this in this way. I don't know why the former chair felt she needed to do it that way, but it's way overkill, and we do need to go back to the original way it was always traditionally done, where I hold the checkbook and I sign the checks. Sorry, I don't sign the checks, but the chair and the vice chair sign the checks.
Right. And
It's
I
simple.
actually was even considering talking about maybe asking about Claire signing the checks as well.
Oh, sure. Why not?
And that way 3 of the officers would be available. And I watched, hold on one second, Gail. I watched Katie sometimes run for 2 days trying to track down Chris to get a check signed, and it would drive her crazy.
Yes.
So, you know, we want to make it easy. We don't want to make it difficult. We want to
Not at
spend
all.
this money, and we want to make it as easy as possible.
Right.
I'm sorry, Gail, go ahead.
In the interest of saving time, I would like to suggest that we table the question of a social media person from this meeting to an email discussion, keeping in mind that if we want to vote on anything via email, everyone must participate. So we can either vote on this via email and get it done that way, or we can have another meeting so that we get it done soon. But I would say let's take care of it on email. In the meantime, I would like to say let's call for a vote on the question of whether or not to increase Doriandra's compensation from 20 hours a week to 40 hours a week, with the funding being taken from the larger grant, which is about to expire. And if there's no further discussion, let's vote so that we can get an update from Thea before we all pass out.
I thought we already did that.
We have not. Oh, we did vote.
Yeah,
See, I'm
we
so
already
tired. I don't even
did.
know what's happening.
We already did. Okay, great. So congratulations.
Anyway, the
Teresa.
tabling for the email, I think
do-
still stands.
I do have one question really quick. And yes, we need to move on to Thea. Can we hire a social media person from that same grant?
Yes, you
Okay.
can.
That's what I wanted to know. All right. Thea,
I'll make it short and sweet. We have 3 candidates that want to join us in our May meeting. And they would like to come to the general meeting. So Lindsay Leach, our interim city councilor, I made contact with Barbie Walker through email. She said yes, and I spoke with Janet Ayers for I don't know how long. She said yes, they would love to come to our meeting. They would like to know if we would, what format we want to use. Do we want to have hybrid? Do we only want to have it on Zoom? And it would be really important that we got this information out. Like, I would put stuff on Facebook tomorrow on the neighbor's open page and our personal page, and maybe even next door neighbor to say, our general meeting, we're having the 3 candidates. They want to know how long, who wants to moderate. Do we want them just to tell their platform, or do we want them to be able to answer questions? So questions on that part.
again, I have a, go ahead, Anand.
I just wanted to ask, is that all the candidates?
That's all we have so far.
Okay.
If there's anyone else that pops up, I will definitely reach out to them. But so far, I think I haven't looked at the ballot. That's all that's in there, right, Claire? The ballot pamphlet? Yeah, so it's only the 3. That's all that made the cut.
Good job.
But I would
Okay.
like to get it out there that people could wait to vote until they actually heard from the candidates in our neighborhood that are running for our neighborhood.
So I
What do
would,
you folks think?
I just want to like flag the timing on that. So people will be receiving ballots anywhere from like probably tomorrow till
No,
Friday
today.
or today. And deadline May 16th, but you can also postmark it May 16th. So like up through May 16th basically is going to be the outreach time.
Right, and so that's why I was saying we needed to get stuff out there immediately to say, hey, if you want to hear what people have to say, we're going to have them come to a forum on May 12th. Unless we want to hold it, I already blocked off May 12th. They're out there campaigning like crazy right now. And they all said they'd make it happen. Because we didn't have time to say, hey, do we want to have a special meeting?
And just
So
so
I-
everyone knows, this is just the special election. So like the person who wins this seat will be in there for 1 year. And then after that 1 year, the real election starts, which is the 4-year term. So they're just finishing out Claire's term.
Right.
basically.
either way, they're all still, it's a special election and they're running against each other. So when I talk to you guys about being board chair. One of the things that I really want to do, and we're running out of time. So we had Chris, and then we had Ian, and then we had Delinia. And all three of those board chairs were a parting of the ways of our community. And, you know, we all saw a big rift between Chris and Ian. And there were people that were very excited about the board when Chris was the chair. And then there were people that came on board when Ian was the chair. I think it's time that we try to bring our community back together and have them understand like what Doriandra is doing and that their opinion matters, which means that I think we need to put a poll that we need to announce that we're going to have them all three. And we need to put a poll for 2 weeks on our Facebook, on our web page, and put it on the neighborhood page and ask if they want a hybrid meeting. If they want a hybrid meeting, I'll go. I'll run it myself if nobody wants to go. But we're here for the community and we need to give them the option. And if they don't want to go to a hybrid meeting and if nobody's going to show up, then we'll just do what we're doing now.
So
We're here for them.
can we keep the poll shorter? It can't be 2 weeks long because we would need to.
Okay, well, it's a month from now, the meeting is, well, it's 3 weeks, right?
I would suggest we just do it virtual. Why break our necks doing something hybrid when our meetings are virtual? If this is our like platform that we're letting you know, public official hopefuls talk about
They
their
want to come in
platforms.
person. They don't want to do it hybrid.
I mean,
They
tough
want to come in
tomatoes.
person, and I actually would like, the city is taking things hybrid. They're having classes with all the other neighborhood associations on how to do hybrid meetings. They're promoting hybrid meetings so that some people, if they want to
How
go
many
in
people
person,
showed
they
up to the
can.
hybrid meeting election?
This one, no one, but people showed up the year before. How many people did Delinia give any information to? No one. She didn't even put the link for the meeting.
I really want to like
I just
suggest
want
that-
to ask them.
I just want to
that's
move
all.
on past like pointing fingers at the passport if we can and just
I agree.
go forward. But
I just want to ask. That's
So
all.
I attended, not to interrupt you, but I attended the meeting I spent Saturday in the neighborhood community meeting. City meetings are required to be hybrid. We are not required to be hybrid, but they are encouraging neighborhoods to be hybrid. I personally will not go in a space. I don't feel safe still. I'm still one of those people that you see in the grocery store in the mask. The candidates don't care whether it's hybrid or on Zoom, but it is 9 o'clock or almost 9 o'clock. And so should we do this through mail or can we make I just want to know how long to tell them and what time. And Gail's right, we have to vote if we're going past 9 o'clock. And a lot of people are tired and punch drunk right now.
Yeah, me too. So we'll just do it through email, I guess. And I don't know about the time.
2 hours is enough time, I suppose.
For them to come in, so we
For
do
us to do it.
introductions and they start speaking at 7:30 and give them 30 minutes each.
Oh, for that, I thought we were talking about ourselves having to vote before we. go
No,
past
give
that.
them 30 minutes each. Or give them
talking about-
20 minutes to talk and 15 minutes for questions.
Okay, I'll send an email out to the board by Friday.
I don't think
Thank
we
you,
have to
Thea.
vote on that. Do we
Okay.
need to vote on the platform?
I think
None
it's a
taken-
good precedent to start if Thea
No,
wants
I
to write
mean
us
the
up a,
platform
but
of how
it's-
much time that each
exactly.
candidate
Yes,
is
all of
gonna
that.
get.
that we all know what it is ahead of time, but it's 9:01. We actually have to end. It's not, I'm not being a jerk. This is in the
No,
charter.
I
We
get
may
it.
not meet past 9 o'clock.
And I will table all my other stuff I'll send it out in a board note. How's that?
Thank you, Thea.
Nice meeting, guys.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, so stop recording. So I don't